What's up, Rockstars? I have a big news video for you guys. We have some brand new games announced, some campaigns that are coming up that are IP-based and that are not IP-based. We have some old guard from the industry returning. We have lawsuits against Disney games. We have all sorts of stuff to go over. So let's just go in and discuss. All right, so right off the bat, Worms, the board game, is coming summer 2023. That's this year, if you didn't know. And summer is like now. So like any day now, right? Probably in a month or so, Mantic Games is going to come out with Worms, the board game. Now, how could this work? That is the question. Mantic Games is really big on like taking these beloved IPs and making these board games. In my opinion, they're not like necessarily the most impressive games I've seen, but Worms is definitely a fun time. If you don't know how it plays kind of like this. They made some eventually in 3D. It was a long-standing series. It started as like Flash games, as you can see, and then evolved into full-fledged games. But you had, grenade launchers and all sorts of other ridiculous silliness as Worms, and you would destroy the terrain often was a big deal, stuff like that. Now, how that works here, I don't know. All it says is hilarious Worms gameplay on your table. Grab your friends and unleash classic weapons, sneaky tactics, and all-out multiplayer mayhem. Now, it's Mantic Games, so I'm going to assume it does have minis as well. That'd be kind of an interesting take to have a bunch of worm minis. It shows a worm with a shotgun and a grenade, so I guess we will see, and eyebrows, because of course. I'll let you guys know, 6,000 people are following though, definitely a fan favorite, and potentially a lot of fun as a board game too, if they can figure out how to capture it well. That's kind of the key. Now, next up we have Dragonbond Quest, a cooperative card game for 1 to 4 players. This one's kind of interesting. If you don't know what Dragonbond is, it's this right here. Draco Studios does this, and they've had several of this. They've had 5e D&D supplement where over 3,000 people backed it. They've had a lot of little miniatures and 3D prints and stuff like that. So a ton of dragon-themed goodness. That's everybody's favorite stuff, of course, because dragons are cool. Now, this is interesting. This is from the team behind Heroes of Terranoth and Warhammer Quest. This addictive cooperative card game is set in the Dragonbond universe. Now, this is actually, over here, you will see Adam and Brady Sadler are doing this. So if you don't know, they were really big kind of head honchos over at Blacklist Games, but they were in charge of like the game design and stuff like that. My understanding, I believe, is Brady was the world builder more, and Adam was more the mechanic builder. But they're twins and they're kind of a pair. They've definitely had some interesting experiences with Kickstarter. So it'd be interesting, I guess, to hear how this pairing comes up. Last I heard, Adam actually was leaving game development to be an iOS developer, software developer, which sounds awesome. As a software developer, I welcome him with open arms. However, he's doing this. I don't know if this is a side gig for him now. I don't know if he's coming back. I guess we will find out. I'll try to investigate more and get back with you guys. But I wanted you guys to get this information as soon as I found out, so you guys can know as well. But again, I will try and get some more answers for you guys, and I'll do a follow-up video for that for sure. I'll link down here. This is tabletopgamingnews.com, literally the only website that I see that really has any information on this, and it talks about how the game actually plays. It's very much, it says news here, but this reads as an advertisement, like 100%. That's what it reads as, but it does tell you a lot about the game, so it's kind of informative. I'm not going to go over everything because I'm already doing that with another game here. But suffice it to say that you bond dragons and do stuff like that. So hence the Dragon Bond stuff. It also has Quest in there. So you might be thinking Warhammer Quest, right? Kind of in line with that. That'll give you a good idea of it. Next up, I just wanted to mention again, DC deck building game, Justice League Dark. I have a review out for the DC deck building game, including the new Injustice version. I'll link down to that in the description below. Go ahead and check that out, of course. And by the way, there are links to a whole bunch of other websites down there, a whole bunch of other campaigns, games you can get, all sorts of goodness in that description. Expand it, go on through the list, search for something you're interested in. Whatever you need to do, there's a lot there. But that's just coming up here soon as well. Now, this is Forsaken Dante's Inferno. They finally have an update. So if I go to this, I'll show this to you again. I'm sure you've seen this before. I've shared this a few times, where essentially you have all these famous characters, these really cool minis, these like evil villains that are in hell and they're trying to get out of it. So it's all competitive, but it's also semi-cooperative. I'll explain it, of course, but it has this 3D map that you're turning and moving, and people are falling between levels and going through levels, and you're having traps and stuff like that. So definitely interesting. The update does finally give some more information. So let's go ahead and check that out. And pre-launch update number 1. have some really good information here. One of the things they're talking about is that throughout the game, you're faced with moral dilemmas that force you to make difficult choices. Think kind of like the trolley problem, who do you run over, right? These choices involve actions that may be perceived as wrong or immoral in our world, but are seen as morally acceptable within the context of hell. This is the single most interesting part of this whole update, in my opinion. Every single game I own tries to do this. Well, every single game that has these dilemmas does it kind of the same way, in that it's our dilemmas, right? Oh, this or that. So to put that to a spin and say, what would the choice be for people in hell trying to get out of it? Very, very interesting, and not necessarily what I might choose, or what, my partner might choose, or, whoever is there. I guess it's kind of a competitive thing, but I'll talk about the whole partner in a little bit. Either way, very, very cool that they're doing a little spin on that. I think that's very intriguing, and I would like to see how they play that up inside the game. That sounds cool. So you start at the very bottom and you're trying to go up. Now, you're doing this through a kind of a programming tableau kind of thing. So essentially, you're going to be drawing these cards known as pages. And then when you draw them, they're associated with different sins, and each one can give you keywords and abilities and stuff like that. You actually have it kind of like this, where this will be today, and that'll have all your stuff. Once you do all the actions there, you then flip it over, and then tomorrow becomes today and reveals the new actions you have. And then, so it'll be kind of interesting to see the difference between the two sides of the card and how that works out. Whether or not you're buying your time for a better turn later, or trying to be in an opportune situation or something like that. Kind of interesting. I'd like to see how that plays out more, but I definitely like the idea of today, tomorrow, flip-flopping like that. So obviously this is a 3-dimensional setup, and it can be manipulated to get advantage and utilize traps and stuff like that. You'll be spinning those around, and it'll be kind of cool in that sense. You'll be having traps and encounters, and each one is a different area and stuff like that. Now this is interesting. Forsaken is not solely about escaping hell. Players must also strive to reach the final destination with the highest faith. Faith is acquired through various means, such as collecting milestones, making choices during events, and assisting the last player on the board. Very cool way to do a comeback thing, because if you're the last player, it means literally every other person is incentivized to help you. And so that can really, I would imagine, leapfrog you one way or another, because it sounds like you're kind of deciding actions there. So you're trying to decide how much to help them versus everybody else maybe not helping them, or maybe they are, or maybe they're only one. You gain faith that way. My mind kind of goes wild on the interplay between all that. It sounds actually quite nuanced and quite cool. Now, I actually know the person that is making this. Well, no, they're a patron of mine. So long before I found out they were making a game or anything like that, I will try to get some information for you guys and maybe show off something cool. There's a little Q&A there. They're definitely open for comments. This is linked down below. Go ahead and check it out. It looks super cool to me. And maybe I can get a eventual review and stuff like that for you guys, so you guys can see what this game is all about. Now, lastly, is Upper Deck suing Ravensburger, which is a huge deal, obviously, because they're actually two fairly big companies, with Ravensburger probably being much larger, my understanding. So, what happened? Essentially, Ravensburger copied one of their games. How did that happen? Well, this Lorcana, or so if you don't know what that is, that's Disney's Lorcana trading card game. And what it is you're trying to gain 20 lore. It's always 20, right? It's always Magic the Gathering. 20 lore, and you're busy, challenging other people and stuff like that. You can kind of read some of the cards here. It's all Disney themed. But what Upper Deck is essentially saying is that one of their designers was working on this game, and in fact, they say we invested significant time and resources to develop a new and novel trading card game, and then they're essentially claiming that they were poached by Ravensburger. So in other words, they leave Upper Deck, they join Ravensburger, and then suddenly have this great idea of this game that they totally just thought of, that they weren't working on during Upper Deck's pay time, right? And so they're saying, hey, essentially you took the game, launched it over there, and that's anti-competitive, which is a legit thing. We'll see how this all plays out. Obviously, the reason I'm showing Dicebreakers, they have a few updates here. All right, especially this latest one here, where they say, hello, I see you, but I know you're trying to be in the movie. This is Sawyer. He apparently wants a video, whatever. I'm not ready. I can't hold you right now. He loves to sit on my lap. He thinks he's small. Come on, sit down. Come on. Oh, my goodness. All right, just stand there. Okay, we at Ravensburger stand behind the integrity of our team and the originality of our products. The baseless claims filed this week are entirely without merit, and we look forward to proving this in due time. In the meantime, our focus continues to be on developing and launching a fantastic game in August. So essentially they're saying, yeah, no, it didn't happen. This actually is a common business thing where essentially anything you work on, right, while at the company, at least in like US legal terms, and mind, I'm not a lawyer, but my understanding of it is that is the company's, they own it. I recall a big thing when I was in college and as a, trying to be a software engineer, we get my computer science degree. And they made sure to tell us, like, hey, you guys might have, like, the next Facebook, right? You guys might have this, like, great idea or whatever. But if you're, like, using our resources to do it, it gets kind of weird legally, and you need to come to us and we'll, like, figure it out kind of thing. Because even just using their computers would be something like that. I mean, it's kind of messy. But suffice it to say, if you were being paid by Upper Deck to make a game, and then you didn't make it, you came there, that idea is still, like, Upper Deck. So that being said, the idea and copyright is kind of weird too. It's mainly about rules, and you can like you can copyright how the rules are written and how they're done. But besides that, you kind of don't own a game either. So it'll be interesting to see. On top of all that is Disney. The fact that Disney here is themed here. So in other words, this is like with an IP holder and stuff like this. This is not just some, hodunk thing. This is like a legit corporate deal thing going on. So very interesting to see how this turns out. If nothing else, it's free publicity for Locana. So as long as it launches, now more people heard about it. Now you've heard about it, right? This kind of stuff can often be quite good for a company if they end up on the top end. Now, which company will? That is the question. It would be massive if this launched in August. They said August, but then it says fall, so I don't know what's going on there. But fall 2023, and you bought it, and then they were like ripped from store shelves. Wouldn't that be wild? What a collector's item. You know how many people are gonna like go there the moment it starts looking like if they lose it or something like that? That'd be wild. Oh, sure, cover that as well. Guys, there is a ton of new stuff always happening, and I always try to share it with you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you for being an awesome community. Check out all the links down below. There are a ton there. I don't get paid for any of them. It's just like convenience for you to see what's available, what's coming up, what's available right now, all that stuff. Guys, have a wonderful rest of your day. Subscribe to see more news just like this. Unboxings like of The Witcher, reviews, all that sort of stuff coming up soon. Take care, guys.